Life. I'm Chrissy Wozniak. My guest today has a passion for bringing the community of women in the agriculture field together to connect, grow, and to support one another, and also to protect our agriculture industry throughout America. Today, we're going to discuss her organization, Ag Women Connect. From Lubbock, Texas, I would like to welcome founder of Ag Women Connect, Venessa Wood. Welcome, Venessa, and thanks so much for being here today.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to it, Chrissy. Thank you for having me on here today.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let's start out by telling me a bit about your background. You grew up in ag, right?
Yeah. So I'm currently living in Lubbock. I basically say I'm from Lubbock, Texas, 'cause I've been here for, I think it's been over 20 years now. I can't believe it, but I grew up 45 minutes north of here in Plainview, Texas. And I'm a fourth generation farmer and rancher. Had the good life, grew up in 4-H and FFA, was of course, involved in that. And I really took an interest in horses. So I have a pretty good background in equine. I would say that it'd be fair to say. More so in judging. So I've been always passionate since I was a little girl about judging horses and competed at the collegiate level at that. And then I've been judging open shows for ever since I got out of college. And now I'm pursuing my professional judging card in a couple of organizations. So, that has just stuck with me throughout my whole life. And then, I've also shown horses too. And I really love the reining and the cow horses. I got a wild hair I guess it's been a couple of years now back, but bought a few horses off of Facebook and decided I was going to train those and turn them around and sell them. And so I just sold my last one this summer. And so that was, fun to do that too. So I still dabble in equine as much as I can.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, when I went to college, I started out in equine. And that's what I specialized in agriculture broadly, but focused on equine. And so
Okay.
I've competed in lots of different areas, but really loved. We moved to Florida 2 years ago, and we sold all our horses at that time because we couldn't really bring them down here. And
Yeah.
but I really enjoy cattle sorting, and I did endurance
Mhm.
with my standard bred. So yeah,
Oh,
I too am definitely hooked on hay burners.
yeah. Well, I can definitely agree with you on that. I am not liking our hay bill right now.
I bet. Yes. So, what inspired you to start Ag Women Connect? What's your main mission?
Okay, well, that's a good question. So I've always known since I was a small girl that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I wasn't going to be one that was going to go to a job, at 8 o'clock in the morning and get off at 5. I'm a visionary. And so entrepreneurship has always been for me. And I've dabbled in a couple other businesses before starting this one. But honestly, I do like to talk, but I have trained myself to be a good listener. And that's what led me to Ag Women Connect, was just listening to women and their needs in this industry, and what they were really pursuing and what they wanted. And so I just built a company around that, and that's how Ag Women Connect came together. It just was by networking. And I'll just say over and over again that networking is a very strong force. And I believe that everybody should be networking in some form or fashion. And so to be able to provide that space for women in agriculture, it's just proven over and over that it was something that they needed. So to answer who we are in our mission, we are America's platform for women in agriculture to come to share their thoughts, ideas, and stories. And so I want people to know that this is a safe space for them to come to, whatever their role is in agriculture. And that's what's been so neat about this, Chrissy, is we literally have women from so many diverse roles in agriculture, and we're all learning from each other. We're all supporting each other. We're very big on just making sure that this is a positive platform where we can just be each other's cheerleaders. And so essentially, like, that's who we are. Like, that is the foundation. And so when I created this 2 years ago, the networking was a huge piece and still is. But just because we have grown so fast and we continue to listen to these women, I just want to say that, like, we are so much more than just a networking group. Like, we are women who take action. We are women who believe in our farmers and ranchers across the United States, and we're speaking up about the real ag issues that are affecting the industry. And I'm very proud to say that, and I'm very excited to see, like, what we're going to do in the future as far as truly making a difference.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a really important time in agriculture. And it sounds like you were created for such a time as this, right?
Oh, I love that you said that. Well, we have a branch of Ag Women Connect that's called Ag Women Connected in Faith. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, but we actually started a Bible study, Chrissy,
Oh,
because
wow.
yeah, I mean, we are a Christian-based company, and so we just really felt that we needed to come together and be grateful and thankful for the things that we have, and just pray about the issues that we're going against in this industry. And so we meet every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central.
Wow.
And we're studying the book of Esther. So of course,
Really?
there's so many things that are going on in the world right now. And so when you said that, I truly do believe that God is preparing us and guiding us for such a time as this to come together and speak about agriculture.
Yeah, I agree. And what specific services and resources does Ag Women Connect provide to the women in the ag community?
Okay, so we have our memberships, and I tell people, like, I want them to be a part of it in whatever form or fashion. So there's 3 memberships to choose from, and you can find all those on the website. So we just have a basic Connect membership, and then the Inspire membership includes our podcast, and then the Empower membership includes, like, some speaking engagements, and so there's tons of value there. But another thing that we are really trying to push is leadership across the United States. So I was thinking to myself, how do we create more leadership within our industry? And that was by creating the chapters. So we have Ag Women Connect chapters that are popping up everywhere. We've got several in Texas. We actually have one in Florida.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then we're all the way up in Indiana, and we've got one in Colorado and Kansas and Oklahoma, New Mexico. So, I just want to encourage anybody who's listening to this to either find a chapter near you, or if you want to take action and be a leader, then we're definitely looking for other women to lead in the areas. Because if you think about it, Chrissy, like, agriculture looks different depending where you're at. West Texas looks obviously different than what Florida looks like in
Yeah,
agriculture.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so those are the chapters, and then the memberships, and then the podcast. We've got that, so that's where we do feature our members every Thursday, and then that's turned into a segment off of rural radio.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
who is the ideal member then?
Who is? Oh, that's a good question. I would say the ideal member is an ambassador of Ag Women Connect, which that is our highest level of Ag Women Connect. But I say that in a sense of just being an ambassador of agriculture, being an ambassador of somebody who just really wants to take action and advocate for our ag industry, and just stay involved. So, there's lots of things that we can talk about today, Chrissy, but when it comes down to it, if we want to make a difference, I feel like the people who really make a change are the ones who show up for themselves, and the ones who show up for their communities and what they believe in.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And then can you describe some of the leadership roles that you've held in the agriculture arena and how they really contributed to your passion for advocacy? Not
Hmm.
everybody's born an advocate, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. Um, I would say, obviously, I kind of alluded it to it earlier, was being just involved in an organization, I think that's bigger than ourselves. And, obviously 4-H and FFA is a great way to start. If somebody's listening who is younger, I would definitely recommend that. I mean, they're great organizations, but past that, I would say definitely college. Just being a teammate, I think, is a great place to start. Like, if you're not a leader, that's okay, but just being a teammate, I think, is just as important. And it doesn't matter what organization you're in, you got to figure out a way to work with other people. And there's a lot of division, as in the world right now. We talked about this earlier today, and you've got to think about, there's other people who obviously have different narratives, and we've got to find a way to work with those people. We got to stop judging them and pointing the finger, and we have to find a way to meet them at their level and see how we can educate each other. So, but going back to your question, I kind of got off there. I would just say some of my leadership roles is just being involved in our community and just other organizations just here, like in Lubbock, that I've been a part of. I just joined the Republican committee here in Lubbock, and I feel like that's important. That's something I'm passionate about. But I don't know. It's honestly just been it's been a plethora of things. It hasn't just been one organization that led me up to this point. It's been my whole entire life.
Amazing. So is that how you got a picture with Senator Ted Cruz yesterday?
Yes. Well, that's what I was saying earlier, Chrissy. Like, it's the networking. It truly is amazing. Who you're going to run into, who God aligns you with. God knows what he's doing, and he aligns you with the people that you need in your life. And so I'll just say, like, pay attention to that. Be aware of who he's bringing into your life and take advantage of that in a healthy way. That kind of sounded wrong, but I tell women all the time, I was like, if there's so many women out there who truly do want to help one another, but you have got to have the courage to ask. And so that's my statement. I think that will be my statement until the day I die. If anybody ever wants a piece of advice from me, I would tell them to just have the courage to ask for help. And that's what I've done. And that's how I got to meet Ted Cruz yesterday. I held a women's summit last November in Lubbock, Texas. And the woman who introduced me to this circle was introduced to me by another woman in agriculture, and we just hit it off. And she couldn't make that meeting yesterday, but she knows my heart and she knows my mission. And she said, well, why don't you go to this luncheon? Ted Cruz is going to be there. And then John Bozeman, which is also the on the ranking ag committee, was there. And she said, this is right up your alley. You need to be there for agriculture. And I've just, in a sense, didn't even feel worthy to be there, even though I know I am. But I was just forever grateful that I was given that opportunity. And there just needs to be more women like that. And that's what I truly feel like what Ag Women Connect is representing. That's the kind of women that's coming to this platform, is like, hey, I'm here and I know you want to be here. Let me reach down and help you get to where you want to be. So
yeah, I love that. And until recently, really, I was not interested in women's groups. I've always worked in agriculture and always worked in male dominated fields. My parents told me I could be whatever I wanted to. I just figured there's always jerks in every field. So I was just I never was like, I don't want to be part of something where it's just my body parts that are right. Until I did an interview with the president of American Agri-Women, Heather Hampton Nodal.
Yeah.
And she said something that I actually joined after that too, was that we're different. Women are different. And it's about time we start celebrating that we're different.
Yeah.
And because of that, we have different needs, right? So we need to belong to organization where we can feed off each other in the way that we need to be fed. And I just thought that was amazing. So now I'm a member of American Agri Women and Women in Agribusiness, and hopefully yours too someday.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it is really important. And so could you kind of share some of the challenges or some examples of what women face today in the ag industry?
I would say first off is just wearing the many hats. I think, women in agriculture, I don't think there's one that I've taught to that have just had one job, right? They've had several jobs. And so it's just trying to balance life. And then there's a lot of women who want to go out there and start their own businesses, but they're scared to do it. And that's where I've been extremely grateful for our support system that we have, is that we have a lot of coaches and women who have been there, done that, who have left their 9-to-5 jobs and started their own businesses in agriculture. And so, but that's scary. Like, you have to take a calculated risk there. And like I said, we're very Christian based. So we do talk about really leaning into our faith and just trusting that God is going to set us on the right path and that he's going to align us with the people to make that dream come true. But, wearing those many hats, starting your own businesses, but also, working alongside their husbands, and then going up against what the big corporations are doing right now to farmers and ranchers, the globalists, the extremists, all these regulations coming down. I mean, it's like I said earlier, it's very scary, and it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. Like, it's already happening, right? And so I just want to do the best that we can do with the platform that we have to make sure that those stories get out, and to make sure that our legislators are listening to us, right? And so that's where we're kind of working right now, and just helping women navigate through that, because it's not an easy thing to talk about, right? It's not an easy thing to talk about because a lot of those stories are gut wrenching, and they're just trying to figure out how to move forward. And then another thing too, Chrissy, is we talk a lot about mental health and mental illness within the agriculture industry. Men suffer more from that than women do. But if you think about it, the women are helping their men deal with these issues. And so a lot comes down on them, and they're trying to do the best that they can. So, I could talk all day about what's going wrong in agriculture, but, I want to talk more about like what we can do to make a difference. So, and it starts by that great support system and surrounding yourself with people who have the same heart and the same mission.
Yeah. And you made a great point there with, even though the mental health crisis is kind of centered around the men in agriculture, that the women are playing that supporting role. And I can tell you from experience, my dad had mental health issues and was manic depressive. And there was one point that was so low that I was the person that reached out to the hotline and asked what to do. And then you have to live with them telling you have to get him to a hospital right now. And you have to live with his anger at tricking him to get into the car to get there, right? But that's the role of a woman in a lot of these situations, is trying to figure out what to do so that it doesn't take that step you can't turn back from. Right. So, so the women in those situations definitely need a lot of support. So that's awesome that you're focusing there too.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
is your dad okay?
He actually passed away of cancer years later, though. So he did not take his life at that time. Thank God. But he did get cancer years later and passed away in 2011. So.
Oh, I hate to hear that.
Yeah, my buddy.
Yes. Well, my daddy's gone too. And, I'll say, going back to your question, that's another thing that families and women are dealing with too, is, when their parents or their grandparents pass on, is the responsibility and the stress that they have of taking over that farm or ranch. That's where we really want to step in and help them through that process, because there are a lot of younger generations coming up, and we need to be able to help them as much as we can, whether it's on a personal level or a professional and logistic level.
Definitely. And what advice would you give to young women who aspire to pursue a career in agriculture?
I would say join Ag Women Connect.
Yeah.
Oh, I would say find a support system. Find an organization where, and it doesn't have to be Ag Women Connect. I mean, I would hope it would be, but find a support system, because they're, like I said earlier, they're going to have their bad days, they're going to have their good days, but they're going to want to share it with people, regardless. And honestly, I mean, that's what's going to get you through those hard days. That's what's gonna help your business. I would not be where I am today if I didn't have my support system, or I didn't have a group of women where I could bounce ideas off of. Like I just got off of a Zoom call with my website crew, and I was talking about one thing, and then they brought up something completely different, and so we backtracked, and I said, you know what, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I want to do all the things all the time, and I know that I can't.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part. And so, but I
Yeah.
say all this because it was great to have that sounding board
Yeah.
and that honesty. And they're like, look, I am right there with you. This sounds amazing, but let's go back and let's tweak this. Let's fix that. Let's build upon this. And then once you get that done the way you want it, then we can move on to the next. But, I wouldn't have had that, for one, if I didn't, if they weren't a part of our network. But for two, if I didn't, again, ask their opinion.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest issues that I think we face as an industry is bridging that gap between farm and table. So do
Yes,
you and your group have ideas on how to do that?
absolutely. That's something. So I am trying to figure out a way where we can make all of this happen within Ag Women Connect, as far as bridging that disconnect between the people who are unfamiliar with agriculture. That's a huge problem today, because they're just going by what they're told, right? And how are they getting this information? They're getting this information from the mainstream media. They're getting this information from whoever's in office and who is, promoting this plant-based diet or promoting lab-grown slime. I won't even call it meat, because it's meat. It's a pharmaceutical food. And it just breaks my heart, because people are just, that don't live in the rural communities, or who are unfamiliar with agriculture. They just literally don't understand. People don't know what they don't know. And I am extremely passionate about this. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice.
Yeah.
And so we are on that track. As I was saying earlier, like, we are a networking group that really wants to take action behind our words. And I can just tell you, most of the women in agriculture want to talk about these things, and they want to bridge that disconnect as well. And so we have been honestly doing some interviews, and we're talking to a couple of networks right now about perhaps doing some videos to help people understand how important our food industry is, and our food security is, and what we're up against right now. And then we're also planning on doing a documentary. And so yeah,
Amazing.
we've
Wow.
got things in store for that, and we're getting into it. But yeah, and it's not just our food industry, Chrissy. It's it's the waters of the USA, it's the EPA, it's you know it's China buying our land, it's the big corporations that are pushing out the smaller farmers and ranchers. And so there's a lot of information to cover. And so we're going to try to do our best to break that down where people can understand it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I love those ideas. And so what are some of the key goals that you have for your growth and impact in the coming years?
Yeah. Well, I eventually want to be the largest platform for women in agriculture to come to find resources to do business with, to get, of course, education, to plug into to groups in their area. I can really see this going very big, and it already is. And I don't say that to brag. I just say that because women are excited and they're ready to stand up, and they're ready to do something pretty awesome. So I also see us possibly having our own channel. You know, we're already doing the podcast, but I really feel like um we'll get into the production side of things. And so we're kind of weighing our options there about uh, hooking up with some other channels right now. But I feel, in a sense, too, then we'll eventually have our own channel. So, and it'll be, of course, shining the light on women in agriculture and then educating others about the ag industry.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. And you have a gala coming up soon.
I do. I'm so excited about it. I've never put a gala on in my life, but I've helped other people put events together. So this has been a learning curve for me, but it's been so much fun. We have had an extreme amount of support, not only here in West Texas, but we have women, Chrissy, that are flying in from all over the nation. We actually have some people coming in from Florida to be a part of this. So I'm just excited to really recognize our women that are our chapter leaders and our ambassadors. They're all coming to this, but we're also going to be raising money for our 501c3, which is the Ag Women Connects Foundation. And you can find all of that on my website, but it's a 3-in-1 foundation, basically. So number one, we want to be able to give back to the communities who have faced natural disaster. So, hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, droughts. We want to be able to give back either, whether it's resources or hay or equipment or even funds to communities who have unfortunately faced that disaster. And then number two is going to help with the production cost of our documentary and, our podcast. A lot of people don't think about it, but there's things that go on behind the scenes that it costs money to do all this. You think about the traveling and then the video crew and all that. And so that's number two. And then lastly, number three, my heart really goes out to the kids who may have not have gotten like a big scholarship through FFA or 4-H, like the San Antonio, I'm just talking Texas here, but there's like a San Antonio scholarship or a Houston Livestock scholarship, and they're tremendous. But I feel like there's a lot of kids who fall through the cracks that are still doing amazing things and have a huge passion for agriculture. I want to be able to give scholarships to those kids. So, and even if they don't go to college, but go to a trade school that, still encourages agriculture, we want to be able to give to those kids as well.
Yeah. Oh,
So
I love that.
I know that's a lot, but that's that's what our foundation's about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So, we've talked a lot about God through this as well, but what role does faith play in your life?
Oh, every day. I really try to start my day out with the Lord. I'm guilty of not doing it every day, but I'm telling you right now, like I would not be where I am without him. And, there's some hard decisions that we have to make, whether those are small daily decisions or whether we're at the crossroads of our life.
Yeah.
And, that happens more often than what we think. Somebody told me that you're either entering a crisis, you're going through a crisis, or you're coming out of a crisis. And I feel like that is very true in the ag industry.
Yeah.
And I honestly just can't imagine, people who don't have faith, how they really get through things. And I don't say that to shame them. I just say that because I mean, he has been my rock through all of this. And I really feel like he's rewarded us. You know, he's rewarded this company, and he has got his hand in it, because there's some pretty amazing things that have happened that definitely did not come from me at all. Like meeting Ted Cruz yesterday, you know,
Yeah,
that was
really.
definitely a God thing. That was something that I was not expecting, and something I jumped on the moment I was asked.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like you said before, it's showing up, right?
Yes, it's showing up
Yeah.
that. And um you know, and I'm our ag women connected in faith. I would really like to see that grow.
Yeah.
I know people get busy, and they may not you know, remember it every Sunday, but I would really love to see that just expand, and for us to come together once a week, just to end our week and start our week. I think it's the perfect time. Sundays at 7 o'clock. And if you think about it, Chrissy, unfortunately, you know, women in the very rural communities, sometimes they can't make it to church. You know, that may be the only time that they could get away, is to just get on a Zoom and pray with others, and, you know, discuss a chapter. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. So I have one last question for you. Um, you're so passionate about all of this. It's so apparent. But what is the thing that really lights you up, which you wake up for every day? The thing you're
oh,
most passionate about?
well, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I'm passionate about God. I love my kids and my family. I would say they come second, even though I'm very work driven. I wouldn't be doing all of this if it, you know, if it wasn't for them. You know, I want to be able to leave behind a legacy to my children, and I want to see them succeed, and I want them to, you know, to whatever they're passionate about, I want to be able to be that example to them, whether it's agriculture or not. They're heavily involved in sports right now, and you know, and I'm glad that they have that with their dad, and they're leaders in the sports. So God, and then of course my family, but just being the storyteller of women in agriculture. I mean, I get emotional when I talk about it, because it just to just be that example and voice. This is what God has prepared me to do my whole entire life, Chrissy. Like, I didn't understand, you know, my previous jobs. I didn't understand all of it, and I knew it's not where I wanted to be, but I always knew that I was going to have a higher purpose, and I know 100% this is it.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Vanessa. What a great conversation.
Yes, well, thank you. I said I'd like to talk a lot, and I do, but I would like to interview you
Yeah,
and get
that
your
would be fun
story.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what you're
Anytime.
doing is amazing. So,
Thank you.
I would love to connect and see what we could do to help each other out.
Yeah, I would love that. Awesome. And thanks to everybody who's watching or listening. If you want to learn more, the links are provided in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe to North American Egg Spotlight on YouTube, Rumble, or Telegram channels. And the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Listen Notes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also go to NorthAmericanEgg.com to find everything there. And if you like this episode, I would love it if you shared it. Have a great day.